I pointed to that one guy that I shot, and I said, "Hey, you, get inside." And he said, "Haha, you think you can scare me with that thing?" And that's when I got mad. And I was going to shoot people anyway, but I was really mad at him for doing that.
This was a mass killer confessing his darkest intentions, but the real horror was the cold, calculated execution of his crime that was caught in real time. June 5, 2014 marked the day Ibarra walked into the Seattle Pacific University lobby, mercilessly claiming his first victim. But what followed was not the massacre he'd planned. One small misstep led to a chain of events that would alter everything. In the course of one of the worst Seattle emergencies, several terrifying revelations were waiting to be exposed. June 5, 2014 began like any other day, but just before 3 p.m., a series of calls flooded into the helplines of the Seattle Police Department, all from the same location. In a matter of minutes, the city would be pushed into chaos and an unforgettable crisis. A man with a gun was walking into the SPU University, and a nightmare began to unfold. And with every call, more chilling details emerged.
Do we have any security? Just arrived. Okay, do you campus security? Listen to me. We need to know where the shooter is. Is he on foot? Did he leave in a car? He was on foot. What race was he? Yeah, I don't know. Ma'am, does anybody have a description? We need to know who we're looking for. We've got lots of help on the way. Can anybody identify?
He was about 5'9". He was maybe 140 pounds. He was about, a plaid shirt on, over a white t-shirt. He was wearing jeans. He was kind of a pretty dark hair, and he was wearing glasses.
At first, the description seemed vague, ordinary, but the pieces were starting to fall into place. He was not a prospective student. He had more sinister intentions for being on the campus that day. But who was he, and why was he here? They were soon about to learn more about his evil plans.
Okay, is he white male, black male?
He's a white male.
How old?
Probably between 25 and 30.
What direction did he go?
I didn't see that. We were going in the opposite direction after he shot.
Was he on foot or in a vehicle?
I thought he got out of a vehicle, but he just came across the street. He was on the east side of the street. He walked across to the west side.
And you said you thought he got out of a vehicle? Did you see a vehicle, sir?
I didn't see that he got out of a vehicle. All I saw was he crossed the street.
And you didn't see which way he actually went, correct?
His vehicle was spotted. A white pickup van was parked along the street near the Seattle Pacific University campus in Washington. Whoever this man was, he wasn't planning to leave quietly. And just as police closed in, something far worse was about to happen.
The campus security officers are dealing with it right now.
Right, no, I can see that they're on the scene. I'm just trying to get as much information as far as what you saw, just so I know.
There were two people standing there, and this guy walked up behind one of them, lifted his rifle, and shot directly into the back of the person's head.
Okay, so you said it was a rifle, like a long gun, not a handgun?
It was a shotgun.
Long gun.
Sir, did you say it was a shotgun?
I believe it was a shotgun with a ribbed upper section to the gun.
The first shot hit a random student, 22-year-old Paul Lee. The question was no longer who he was. The van belonged to 26-year-old Aaron Ybarra. Now, the only question was, how far would he go? A massacre was in the making, and the police? It seemed like they might be too late to stop it. The officers moved in, sirens heightening the tension across the campus. But no one knew what they were truly walking into or how the standoff would unfold. But even before the police reached there, the action had already taken place, captured on camera as it all played out in real time. The man, whose identity was now confirmed to be Aaron Ybarra, could be seen walking into the hallway calmly, like he belonged there. The CCTV captured everything, every step, every glance. But no one knew what was coming next. There, sitting innocently at the desk, was 22-year-old Tristan Ruth, unaware his life was about to hang in the balance. The man leaned in close and threatened him. "Don't move, or there will be consequences." But it wasn't just Tristan in the building. Unaware of the danger, just as 22-year-old Sarah Williams reached the bottom, he turned and without hesitation pulled the trigger. The shot hit Sarah in the chest, point blank from a close range. At that moment, Tristan saw his chance. Desperate, he made his move. However, the gunman was not going to be as lucky because his next move would be the undoing of his master plan. It was clear that the things Aaron had said were not empty threats. He was shooting people and his plan was clear and just moments away from unleashing complete chaos. But then he made a crucial mistake. As the shooter paused to load his pistol, a security officer seized the moment. 22-year-old John May, student security personnel, approached the gunman from behind. In a split second, everything shifted. Without warning, he pepper sprayed the shooter's eyes, tackled him to the ground, and wrenched the gun from his hands. The wounded girl Sarah seized the moment to move away, and Aaron the gunman was on the floor with his eyes burning. John moved away with the weapon to keep it out of the shooter's reach, but when he returned, he'd find a surprise. Aaron had produced a knife from his pocket. Next, John would engage in a physical altercation with a pepper-sprayed Aaron to remove the weapon from his grip. He was going to have unexpected help. Suddenly, a second hero, Justin Sarah, kicked the weapon out of Aaron's reach, ensuring it would do no harm. What was seconds away from becoming a massacre was stopped in its tracks thanks to their courage. But the tragedy was nowhere near an end, and what came next was going to expose the harsh reality that changed everything. By 3:29 p.m., paramedics and officers from the Seattle Police Department flooded the campus. Officers immediately apprehended Aaron after finding John Mays and Justice Sarah holding him down on the hall floor. One team of police officers took Aaron into custody, while the second took hold of his van. Paramedics treated several students for shock while Paul, Thomas, Sarah, and John were all transported to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. Paul was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. Sarah was in critical condition and taken into surgery immediately. Thomas was in a serious state but was stabilized by medical staff and admitted into hospital. John was treated for abrasions caused during his altercation with Aaron and released thereafter. But the story didn't end here. As the police arrived to take the gunman away, they believed the worst was over. What they didn't realize was that the shooter had more to reveal, something far darker than anyone could imagine. Aaron was taken to the Seattle Police Department Homicide and Assault Unit, where he was read his Miranda rights. He was then taken in for an interview with detectives James Cooper and Dana Duffy. What was his real motive, and what secrets was he hiding? The answers lay in the interrogation room, where the truth was finally about to come to light.
Try not to, the more you rub your eyes, the more you get the stuff in there.
Okay.
Do you want to rinse some more?
I think I'm just going to hang out for a little bit.
Okay, sit tight for a second then.
It took some time for detectives Cooper and Duffy to start the interview as Aaron was still recovering from being pepper sprayed.
Are you going to ask questions or do you want me to just start explaining?
Why don't you start explaining?
I grew up in a Christian home. My family's very Christian.
Okay.
I started off being that way.
And Aaron, I don't mean to interrupt you, but can you lift your hand up a little so your mouth, so we can hear you a little better?
How's that?
That's better.
And I had a high level of OCD since I was 13. And I was lonely growing up. I felt like I started to become psychotic or something because I noticed I've been living in fantasy than reality. I made people want to hate me because I thought I was part of them, but when I was really...
Part of what?
I was part of their crew when I was really bugging them.
Okay.
They began by asking him about his personal life. Aaron was born in July 1988 to parents Janice and Ambrose Ibarra. He was raised at Mount Lake Terrace, Seattle, with his older sister Brandy and younger brother Joel. Aaron's life was described as being tumultuous from the very beginning. His father Ambrose was an alcoholic and often caused the family much trouble.
Like, I needed certain things for my routines, like my cologne, my bedroom furniture, and just certain things, just basic things, like what people, I can't really explain everybody's OCD, but I need certain belongings and they can't go until it's ready, until a certain time.
And that's what made your day normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
As Aaron grew more comfortable in the interrogation, he delved into his psychological problems like his severe OCD. His psychological issues began at the age of 13, and as the investigators would continue speaking with this deeply disturbed person, they'd realize his OCD was just the tip of the iceberg.
I knew if something affected that, it would automatically change my mental state. It made the compulsions go from good to evil, but I couldn't stop it, and I knew I couldn't treat it on my own. And my OCD, I have requirements. Mm-hmm. I had to take it in my own hands to get the respect. Well, not just respect, but every situation had a price to pay.
What do you mean situation?
Like if someone threw off a routine or someone took something from me that I needed, there had to be a price to pay.
At the SPU campus, innocent students were paying the price for something they knew nothing about, a sin that existed solely in Aaron's troubled mind.
So, how long have you had these feelings?
The evil feelings or the good ones?
Both.
Since I was 13, the good feelings, up till 23 when my stuff got taken away. My bedroom furniture got taken away.
So in the last 3 years, you've started having these bad feelings?
Yeah.
And can you describe the bad feelings to me?
I just felt nothing but hate, 100% hatred towards the world, towards everyone. I threatened to massacre the local bar once because I just wanted everything and everyone to die, and then Columbine came to mind. I don't know how, but it just hit me. When I was watching the news when I was a kid, Columbine, like Eric Harris just came into my head, the mastermind of the shooting.
Right.
And I kept identifying with him ever since the past 3 years, because he just made everything so exciting. He made hate so exciting.
Aaron's family had decided to move his bedroom furniture around when he was young. According to Aaron, he was obsessed with how things were, and he wasn't the same thereafter. Aaron had understood that fear was a way to get respect. He found his first inspiration in the mass murderer Eric Harris. However, there was another reason guns were his favorite way to inflict violence.
I mean, in Columbine, they used explosives and stuff like that. Did you ever thought about that, or did that cross your mind?
I'm not smart enough to to go on the internet and figure out how to make bombs.
Okay.
I just go by my instincts of what I've learned.
Okay. And what have you learned?
How to shotgun, rifle, and pistol shooting.
Okay.
My family are marksmen.
Your mom and dad are?
My dad and my brother are.
Okay. What's your brother's name?
Joel.
And do you have any sisters?
Yeah, Brandy. Brandi.
Like his father and brother, Aaron had a passion for guns and even worked for 8 years at a gun range in the Mountain Lake area. He was described as being very skilled with a firearm and was a competitive shooter. Some of the people who had met Aaron through work described him as being a funny, shy, and nice person. But little did people know that there were demons forming within the quiet young man.
You talk about what you know as far as your family being marksmen. I mean...
the men in my family, yeah.
Okay. Does everybody own guns in your family?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most of them were stolen. When my brother was doing drugs, we also housed a charismatic psychopath, is what I like to call him, because he manipulated my family and he stole from us and made him think that it was my brother that did it. And
who was that?
his name was Jerron Bernal. He's in my private journal. I have a diary in my truck. I told the cops.
The white truck?
Yeah. Did you read it?
I haven't read it yet.
These dark feelings made me go from Christianity to admiring sadism. And that's when the hate started feeling really good, because I felt that God betrayed me. I'd been praying for him to help me, but I didn't feel like he didn't answer my prayers.
The last loss of something Aaron held dear was the stolen guns. It was too much for the obsessive Aaron to move on from, and became certain he hated everyone. In Aaron's delusional mind, it was the right time for the evil side to take over. Maybe him receiving therapy in a timely manner could have prevented the deadly consequences, but it wasn't to be.
Are you seeing anybody right now?
What do you mean?
Are you seeking anybody for any type of medical condition or anything like that right now?
As a mental?
Mental, physical, drinking, whatever.
I stopped seeing my psychotherapist because I couldn't afford it.
Who's that?
Samantha Good.
Is that person local?
Her office is in Eastlake.
When did you stop seeing her?
It was recently. It was about 3 months ago, maybe.
Aaron had only started therapy because everyone around him had pressured him into seeking help. Within a month of stopping therapy, he entered SPU with his disturbing mission.
I know you had a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you pack?
A hunting knife.
And, of course, I haven't talked to any of my detectives up at the scene, but what type of shotgun was it?
It was a Browning over and under Satori. I use that for sporting clays.
Okay. And, of course, I'm talking to you here. I haven't seen your shotgun or anything like that. Did you have it modified? Was it cut off? Anything like that?
No. In case I got pulled over or got caught or something, I hid it in a garbage bag, like if I was packing like if I was just stuffing stuff in there.
Okay.
I assembled it in the in the truck because my windows were tinted. I knew no one couldn't see.
Okay. So you had this shotgun, you had a hunting knife, anything else?
I packed 75 rounds of ammunition because I thought I was going to kill and injure more people.
Okay.
What Aaron would tell investigators next would leave no room for it being anything other than a premeditated crime, something he and his lawyer would regret deeply in the courtroom.
You planned that, and you told me this already, but that you've taken a tour of that campus?
Yeah, 2 Mondays ago, I manipulated these quite a few students, but I used 2 girls to give me a private tour. I didn't even have to ask. I acted like a transfer student, and the way I approached them made them want to give me a tour.
Where'd you meet them at?
I was just walking around. I don't know specific areas.
Did you get their names?
I met this one black girl. She was really nice. I don't know how to pronounce, or I don't really know how to spell her name. I don't know how to spell her name, but I think you pronounce it as Adroja.
Okay.
That's the closest I remember.
Aaron had a clear plan for July 5th, 2014. He wanted to be like one of his heroes and take his own life at the end. It was to be a statement. However, the students failed to understand the true extent of what they faced that day and never took Aaron seriously. According to him, he was disrespected, and to garner respect was to propagate fear.
Well, it's like, have you heard of the story about Alyssa Bustamante, the girl who killed her 9-year-old neighbor?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what she said. You're like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but once you do it, you're like, oh my God, it's so fun.
Right. And the guy, you mean today, the first guy you shot at? First
guy I shot at. I was so pissed at him because he didn't take me seriously. I hate it when people disrespect me, but
right.
I can't let out I'm incapable of letting out my true feelings. But when I first felt I was able to get respect once I made that first shot.
19-year-old Paul Lee stood there with another student. He made a fatal mistake of taking Aaron lightly.
Let me ask you this. So when you get out, where do you encounter the first guy? Because, again, I haven't been out there.
I was trying to hold 2 people hostage just to have a little fun.
Right.
But they didn't take me seriously. They were laughing at me.
Did you show them the shotgun?
Yeah, I said, hey, you 2 get inside. There's one girl and one guy. They were talking to each other. Like, they were just standing there laughing at me.
Okay.
And then I pointed to that one guy that I shot, and I said, hey, you. Hey, you, get inside. And he said, haha, you think you can scare me with that thing? And that's when I got mad. And I was going to shoot people anyway, but I was really mad at him for doing that.
Okay. Was that the first guy you shot?
That was the first guy I shot. When he turned his back and started walking, I put one in his shoulder. I think it was his shoulder. I didn't see any blood, but I saw him go down.
What's the capacity of that shotgun? How many rounds?
It's a double barrel, so 2.
Aaron explained to both detectives that he didn't confide in anyone about his plans. He did, however, write everything down in his journal and hoped that people would understand his reasons for the shooting if he was killed during the incident. As the interview went on, Aaron spoke to Detective Duffy one-on-one and told her that he'd understood that something was wrong with him, but that his hate eventually overtook him. By the end of the interrogation, Aaron seemed to have accepted his fate and understood that what he did held dire consequences for his life and future. In the aftermath of the tragedy, students started to return to campus life and resume their day-to-day activities as investigators started working on their case against Aaron Ybarra. Although Aaron had succeeded in taking only one life, his intent had been far deadlier, a plan to wreak mass destruction. But as the prosecution worked tirelessly to build an airtight case, they knew the defense was gearing up for a fierce battle. The real fight was just beginning. On October 10, 2016, Aaron Ybarra went on trial for his crimes. Aaron's defense team were already prepared to use the insanity plea as their argument in the case. But prosecutors weren't going to let them get away with a lesser charge or sentence. Defense attorney Ramona Brandes argued that Aaron suffered from debilitating episodes of depression and mental illness that led him to hearing the voice of God, who had urged him to go on a killing rampage. She also brought into question his upbringing and his volatile home situation, arguing that he never did receive the help he truly needed.
Usually when I have hateful feelings, I go talk to somebody, but I was out of control because that's what I was told to do, and inside my heart, that God was telling me in my heart, I gotta do a school.
Testimonies from Aaron's victims were essential to make the case as clear as it happened.
There's a way to go in the back of the building, and then there's a way to go in the front main lobby of the building.
That's the front staircase that we saw. Which way did you go?
I went to the front main staircase.
Tell the jury what happened when you went downstairs.
As I was going down the stairs, I saw someone to my left.
Sarah was the worst hit of the doomed day after Paul Lee. She was hospitalized for days before she could go back to her normal life. She tried to explain the agony she suffered in the court.
When you froze, what are you looking at? What are you seeing now?
I was looking at the same scene, him holding the gun and the boy sitting.
What happened next?
He turned, the shooter turned towards me, pointed the gun at me, and fired it.
Did you feel it when he fired it? Did it hit you?
Yeah, it hit me in the right side of my chest.
What did it feel like?
It felt really hot and like a kind of like a surge of energy just pushed my body backwards.
What were you thinking in that moment?
At that moment, I still didn't fully realize what had happened, so I was kind of confused still.
Justin Sierra explained the entire SPU lobby scene where he and John Mace had overpowered Aaron.
He was on the ground, more in a seated position, with his legs in front of him. I put my one knee into basically his middle of his thighs, like push him down. He's not getting up if I'm kneeling on him. And basically, after I patted him down, I just put my hands on his shoulders and sat there for a minute.
Did he say anything when you pulled the knife away from him?
He said you should let me have kept my knife so I could slit my own throat.
And did you say anything to that?
I told him to stop being a pussy.
Defense attorney Ramona also brought into question his upbringing and his volatile home situation, arguing that he never did receive the help he truly needed.
Because he'd suffered from his mental illness for years, and he had sought professional help. He had sought medication. He had sought a way to escape the torture of the dark and terrifying delusions of homicide and of death and of destruction that tormented him.
The prosecution team, led by King County's senior deputy prosecuting attorney Kristen Richardson, was prepared for the insanity argument. Prosecutors were about to quote Aaron's own words against him.
He got out of his truck that he parked, and he went around the building one last time. And then he sat in his truck, and he wrote these words. June 5th, 2014. This is it! Exclamation point. I can't believe I'm finally doing this! Exclamation point. So exciting, I'm jumping. Since Virginia Tech and Columbine, I've been thinking about those a lot. I used to feel bad for the ones who were killed, but now Eric Harris and Sung Lee Cho became my idols. And they guided me till today. No matter how cute the girl is, no matter how cool the guy is, I just want people to die! Exclamation.
The prosecutors slashed through the theory that Aaron did not receive help for his mental health issues with proof that he'd given up therapy voluntarily and stopped his medication in order to let his hate take him over. Testimony from his mother Janice helped back the claim that Aaron was receiving support from at least one member of his family. The prosecution also had proof from his journal that showed he'd planned and carried out the shootings in a premeditated fashion. Furthermore, the jurors were allowed to watch the recorded interrogation conducted by detectives Cooper and Duffy, which proved that Aaron was fully aware of his actions and the consequences. In the video, Aaron doesn't make mention of hearing the voice of God or Satan, but rather tells detectives that he was motivated and helped by Eric Harris and Seung Hui Cho. The prosecution did acknowledge that Aaron suffered with severe mental health issues, but clearly stated that the shooting was planned and driven by his own free will. Now, with the sentence moments away, everyone wondered, would the jury see it the same way? On November 16, 2016, after weeks of testimonies and arguments from both the defense and prosecution, the jury returned with a guilty verdict. Aaron was found guilty of premeditated first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 1 account of assault. On February 17, 2017, Judge Jim Rogers sentenced Aaron Ybarra to 112 years in prison for the Seattle Pacific University shooting. At his sentencing, Aaron addressed the courtroom, which was packed with the surviving victims, family members, students, and staff from SPU. All eyes were on Aaron, but no one was emotionally prepared for the words that followed.
Over the past 2.5 years, I realize I've damaged more than just innocent people. I've damaged the community, maybe the world. A lot went on around these times, and I've hurt a lot of people's emotions. I wish I could take back what I did, but I can't.
He expressed his regret for committing such a heinous crime. He also showed remorse for taking the life of Paul Lee, who he wished was still alive. He also addressed Sarah Williams, who survived the attack, and told her she did not deserve what had happened to her that day. Aaron said that he wished he could take everything back, but it was too late for that. He will serve a sentence at the King County Adult Detention Center. In 2015, John Mays received the Congressional Medal of Honor for his heroic deeds in stopping the SPU shooter. Aaron Ybarra's family have remained out of the public eye since the shooting in 2014. There remains little to no information about his family members and their lives in the public and social media domains. For Paul Lee's family and friends, his legacy lives on through them. The Lee family started the Paul Lee Foundation shortly after a memorial was held for Paul in June 2014. The foundation aimed to continue the work that Paul wanted to do, which was to help support people who suffered with depression and mental health issues. The irony was cruel. He had a dream of helping the mentally unstable, yet before he could even finish his education, he became the victim of someone he would have ideally wanted to help. The foundation has dedicated itself to raising funds to help support organizations that research and develop solutions that could help those suffering with mental health illnesses. Today's case is possibly one that will leave many debating what led to Aaron Ybarra turning into a school shooter. It's sad to see young lives lost so senselessly and killers become the victims of their own mental health issues. Given that Aaron's family life was tumultuous to say the least, could something have been done to stop this tragedy? Or was he always destined to become a killer? He was disturbed, distrustful of humanity, and desperate to be remembered before he took his own life. But instead of avenging the innocent or confronting real villains, he targeted students, the defenseless. Let us know in the comment section below. And if you found today's video interesting, please consider subscribing to our channel and share our videos with other crime aficionados. Also, if you have any crime story that you'd like us to cover, leave us a message in the comment section below. Until next time, stay safe.